Today, we're looking at Diamine's Presidential Blue. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Diamine's Presidential Blue is a blue ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen for a day, I then put it into a Levenger True Writer with a broad nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. And up first is the chromatography. And I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and I immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And what we see that's quite interesting about this particular, it's Presidential Blue that starts with a purple. It's just kind of funny. It starts with purple across the bottom. Now it pushes up. We do see the blue, but very interesting and surprising. We see this turquoise coming in at the very top. Very nice. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. Now that purple is very much on the bottom and in place. It does push up lightly. We do see the blue come in, and that turquoise is a little bit more noticeable in the one where I let it dry. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. Now I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles it basically well. That extra fine still looks like an extra fine. It didn't bloom out. It makes me feel safe using this as a note taker if I was to highlight. Water only moved around the very top layer of the darkest, but still left a lot of very dark blue ink behind. I really don't think water is enough to get this ink out. Now, pen flush, on the other hand, is completely removing it. We see a lot of the white of the paper coming through. It is really pushing all of this ink off the paper. Makes me say that pen flush is all that you would need to clean this out of your pen. Bleach, as would be expected, completely removes it, so there is no need to use a bleach solution. For the inks I've tested, I found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Presidential Blue has a viscosity of 2.69, making it average. Alright, average. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Presidential Blue has an average dry time of 17 seconds, making it average, which is normal. It's not normal to be average, but average is in normal. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form. And look at that. I mean, there's not a lot left, but it's kind of thick. You swirl it around some, and it makes the vial look completely full. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shading. The extra fine is a noticeably lighter tone. With no feather, spread, halo, sheen, it offers spots of shading, letters that come through darker like the H in the, K in quick, B in brown, X in fox. The word the down here is much darker than the word over right next to it. Very nice. Excuse me, very nice. Although this particular ink doesn't always give a lot of shading. With this nib on this paper, it did. It took 11 seconds to dry, and even with the lighter tone, it's nice and vibrant. The medium is a darker tone, not as dark as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen. It has some shading, like in the word brown, it starts as a mid. On the R, it gets much darker, and during the O, it lightens up again. So this shading right here is fantastic. The word over starts light and works its way dark. The word lazy starts dark and works its way lighter. We don't always get a lot of this nice shading from here. 16 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine and the medium show us some color variation, and we did see some nice color variation. The smear test says you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Tomoe River. We get no bleeding, we get plenty of ghosting. The 1.1, just look at this, the tones here. This is fantastic as tones. It is beautiful. It's very vibrant in all three different tones we're seeing. All three are vibrant, and that's nice. A lot of times when inks get lighter, they lose some of that vibrancy, and not here. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a way lighter tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 18 seconds to dry. The medium is a darker tone, not near as dark as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 24 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it in the smear test. You could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. 3 different tones, all very vibrant. Nice. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shading. The extra fine is a way noticeably lighter tone that keeps its vibrancy. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 13 seconds to dry. This looks as fantastic as this looks. I find a lot of times where I'll enjoy that I can get 3 different colors, but one of the tones is usually a little off for my preference. Not here. The extra fine, way noticeably lighter, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 13 seconds to dry. The medium is a much darker tone than the extra fine, nowhere near as dark as the 1.1. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 17 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it in the smear test. You could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. So let's see what happens to this brilliant blue right here. It is fantastic. It really is so nice. The yellow Rhodia, it has no bleeding, no ghosting. We really weren't expecting bleeding or ghosting because it's still Rhodia. What about the tones? Sometimes with that yellow background paper, what we get is it changes to kind of a turquoise or teal kind of thing, or a green. Not so much here. Here we get to go ahead and keep it basically blue. The tone is changed some for the yellow background. It is not greening at all. It's not, you know, altering from a blue. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. A noticeably lighter tone with the extra fine. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 13 seconds to dry. A darker tone, but definitely not as dark as the 1.1 in the medium. Has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 17 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We weren't expecting it. We didn't get it. And the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Black and red. No bleeding. No ghosting. Black and red notebooks have done very well for me. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. Extra fine is a way lighter tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, keeping the vibrancy. 8 seconds to dry. Now medium is a darker tone. It's darker than we see with the 1.1. So there we see a little bit of a reversal. It's a little bit darker than the 1.1. So we still are getting 3 different tones. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium show no color variation, and we got none. The smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. So we went to G. Lalo. It's a gray paper. And we've had a hard time getting inks that look good on this paper. No bleeding and no ghosting. It's a nice laid paper. Beautiful. The blue comes through very nicely here, and it keeps being vibrant, even with the gray background. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a way, way, way noticeably lighter tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. The extra fine did lose some of that vibrancy here, and I think it lost it because of the gray tone background. It's nice, just not vibrant like it has been in all of the other writing samples. And the medium, it's not a different tone here. We get the same tone that we got with the 1.1. So the gray background limited some of the performance of this ink, but it looks very nice here. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We weren't expecting it, we didn't get it. And the smear test, you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. And that is all that I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Presidential Blue, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. And because it's Presidential Blue, and I wanted to continue the little bit of politic joke, I chose the Atramentis Poppy Red to make blue get along with red and get more done. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Diamine's Presidential Blue? It always gives a very nice, vibrant blue. Although you can change the tone slightly depending on the nib size and flow of the pen. But regardless of nib size and flow of the pen, the blue that I've gotten was always vibrant. Makes it very nice and pleasant to look at. Thanks for watching.